Hello, Force Will fans. I played in my local store's pre-release of Winds of Ominous Moon last night. Had a great time, thanks to Q Music Shop, Taylorsville, Utah. And I just wanted to go over the sealed pool that I got. So, on your screen, you're going to see the rares that I cracked in the packs. The ones in green cases are the ones that I ended up playing. So I didn't end up playing Ataraxia, City of the Verdant Green. It's a great card. Rest it to produce one red or one green. If you spin this will to play Resonator, it gains swiftness as it enters the field until end of turn. So I'm going to use magic jargon, but gaining haste, essentially, for those of you that are magic players. But gaining swiftness on every Resonator seems really solid. Unfortunately, I wasn't going to splash red and green to play it. So, going over the white cards first. We have Arrival of the Hero, which is double white, quick cast. If you control a J ruler, you can pay 2 white less to play this card, so essentially the card's free. Choose one. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to Resonators you control until end of turn, or destroy target rested Resonator. Both good abilities. I found the destroy target rested Resonator for free was really solid. Came in handy multiple times in the matches, hence why I played it. Resuscitating Will, the quick cast for 1 white. Recover target J Resonator. It's just to get the extra battle phase. It's essentially all I used it for, although you could use it to, all of your Resonators are rested, your opponent thinks it's safe, they attack, you recover something and block, killing one of their Resonators. So combat tricks. Adam Seacart, the Envoy of Valhalla. So it's a 0/1000 Resonator, cannot attack or block. At the beginning of your main phase, you may RFG a non-magic stone, non-J ruler entity. RFG means remove from game. So card is crazy good, and I'm actually going to come back to that, so I'm just going to set that aside. So, in blue, I opened a Roar of the Soul, which is 1 blue, put up to 2 target Soul Resonators from your graveyard to your hand. Would be better in draft than sealed, unless you get a crazy amount of souls in a sealed pool. So I obviously didn't play it, and it's obviously just fuel for the IU deck anyway, which, okay, you already made a broken deck, let's make it more broken, whatever. So Drifting Little Moon, Resonator, 5/5 for 1 blue, cannot attack, rest this card, it deals 400 damage to target rested Resonator. If you rest 4 of them, you can destroy target Resonator. So I think the reason that it's even a rare is for that last ability, and unfortunately not very useful in a limited format unless it's draft. I'm going to keep coming back to that because I think draft would be much more consistent, and you'd be able to put together a much better deck build in draft in Force of Will than in limited. So I'd much rather see them switch to that as the preferred tournament format. Who knows if that'll ever happen. Anyway, I basically just played it for the 1-drop 5/5. Maybe, I think, in one of the games I played, I was actually able to kill something with 400 damage. 400 damage doesn't really hit much in this set. So, the Distortion of Time. So I couldn't produce any of the time wheel. So essentially this was one blue chant. I'm going to use the magic terminology. Scry 1, draw a card. So look at the top card of your library. You can put that card on the bottom and then draw a card. It's just a really solid way to draw a card. It's good because it's good. I don't have to explain it. So, I splashed green for Beyond the Threshold of Time. To clarify, I didn't put any green magic stones in the magic stone deck. All I did was I used the J ruler, and since this was the only green card that I ended up playing, the basic white J ruler. Actually, I think all of the basic J rulers were limited, but I was running the basic white J ruler, and you could just filter into the green whenever you needed it. So it's 1 green, 1 blue, and 1 to draw a card and put the top card of your Magic Stone deck onto the field. Really solid. Can put you ahead of turn. It was interesting to draw this later in the game, like 3rd or 4th turn. Sorry, I meant to say 4th or 5th turn. Because then you can play the 3-cost chant, hit a stone, play a 2-cost resonator, or 2 or 3-cost resonator. I don't know. It was really solid every time I played it. There was never a time when I played it when I was sad that I played it. So happy about that. So obviously not that great in limited play. Didn't play it. We're gonna take that away. So one of the problems I have found playing limited in Force of Will, which I admit my experience is not all that expansive, is that the cards that I see played, one rare or super rare card can just completely win the game. Period. There's no answer to it. And you might say, well, that's the point of rare or super rare cards. The power scale should be much higher. But so the deck I was running, not that great. Not a lot of beefy dudes, nothing to really, get there. I ended up basically just winning because of Adam's C-cart. It got to the point where if I didn't get in my opening hand, I would just pitch all 5 to try and draw it. And here's why. If you look at the set, removal for Adam's C-cart. In commons and uncommons, removal by itself, with just that card, with no additional help. You can obviously stack burn spells or whatever, but removing Adam's C-cart with a single card from commons and uncommons. You can Aura of Hope, which I played, so I will show you, because I actually have that card. Alright, Aura of Hope. 1 white, quick cast to rest target J Resonator. So you can Aura of Hope and then attack it, so technically you are using 2 cards. But, okay, that could do it. Or you could Lightning Speed Crash. I played that as well. For 3, right? 1 blue, 2, quick cast. It deals 800 damage to target rested J Resonator. If the weather is Thunderstorm, it deals 1200 damage instead. So if you can find a way to rest it, you can then deal 1200 damage. And you have to have Thunderstorm. So not all that solid. So no removal there in those 2 colors, basically. You could Dragon Lord's Breath, bounce it, and then try and counter it next turn. So that requires, 2 cards to answer it as well. You could run elementals, which is another reason that limited draft should be played, because you could answer it with fifth element, but you'd need to have 4 elementals in your hand to deal enough damage. Or you could answer it with leaf assassin, but you'd need 5 elementals in your hand in order to answer it, which wouldn't be a problem if you were drafting elementals, if people were passing them by. Again, draft, I think, in my opinion, is the superior format. But enough about that. You might be saying, well, we don't want commons and uncommons to just answer a super rare or something with toughness, defense this high. Okay. So, there's one more card. The End of Dreams, 2 green and 2, will get rid of it. It'll put it on the bottom of its owner's library. That was the only answer in commons or uncommons. So you have to be running green. If you see this card and you're in limited and you're not playing green, you probably don't have an answer to it, and the player who plays it just auto wins because it answers everything you throw out. So on to rares. You could Prismatic Flame for red, and black, with red and black, the extra red and black being kicker or awakening cost in Force of Will. That would do enough damage to get rid of it. You could Cecil and Tia, or Cecil and Tia, but you would need a total of 14 will to answer this card before it hit you. Or before it got rid of the Cecil and Tia, I should say. So, not really an answer there. You could do Life or Death Struggle. That would work. But then there's a bunch of contingents. Life and Death Struggle, you also have to sack the highest cost resonator you have. This needs to be the highest, Adam Seacart needs to be the highest cost resonator your opponent has if you're trying to answer this, which is not usually the case. So, maybe Life or Death Struggle. Or, if you were lucky enough to open Rhea, 4th daughter of the Mikage, or Mikage, I'm not sure exactly which I have a copy of. I didn't get it in the draft, but I do have a copy of it. You can answer it this way, if you were lucky enough to get one. So, Ruler, it judgments for 2 black and 1, energize 1 black. At the beginning of the game, put a mystery counter on this, and then the sealed item was put an additional 2 mystery counters. Rest it to put a mystery counter on the card. Then when you judgment it, you get Rhea, 4th daughter of Mikage. Again, it's a 12/12 or 1200/1200. Flying, which is really solid and limited. When the card enters the field, put 3 mystery counters on it. Rest it, remove a mystery counter to destroy target resonator. So you could answer it that way. But again, now we're into rares where the odds of you actually drawing the card, or it opening the card in the sealed pool, not that great. If someone is already chosen their colors in draft and opens this 3rd pack and it's not in their colors, you might see it. So again, I think draft is the superior format. And that's it for rares. That is it so far. You can only answer this card if you're playing green with the End of Dreams, or if you're playing red and black. Red for Prismatic Flame, black for Rhea the Ruler. So means that out of 5 colors, 2 of the colors don't do anything. And you have to be pretty committed to green. You're running double green for the End of Dreams in order to answer this card. On to super rares. So you can answer it with itself. So if you're running up against the white matchup and they happen to have one and you happen to have one, the first person to play it wins the game because there's just no answer to it. You can answer it with Kaiser Phoenix. Kaiser Phoenix does enough damage. Again, that's a red card. So you have to play red to answer, red, green, or black. And you have to get these rares or super rare cards. Or you could... So the last card I have on my list is Unyielding Dragonlord Ragnarok, which I actually came up against. And I had this card in play. My opponent plays Unyielding Dragonlord Ragnarok, which Unyielding Dragonlord Ragnarok, off the top of my head, I can't remember it exactly, but essentially I think it's a 6 cost for 3 blue and 3. Reveal the top card of your deck until you reveal 2 cards with the same name, or until you choose to stop. You put those cards into your hand. And then he has an added effect of discard 7 cards, destroy target, I think it's non-Magic Stone, non-J Ruler entity. So you can answer it that way. And I had someone do exactly that. Oh, and it's a 15/15 flyer, which is really solid. I had someone do exactly that. But we were halfway through the game. They drew it in a 25 card limited format deck. They drew only 7 cards, so we were a little over halfway. They drew only 7 cards to answer this. That's it. So they drew 7, discarded 7, destroyed this resonator. I ended up milling them. I destroyed Ragnarok. And I just outlasted them. I think I was at 200 life at the end of that game. So their strategy to remove this card cost them the game. Now the bad thing about this card is not actually a threat. So oftentimes cards that could remove this, direct damage, if you're stacking damage, or anything that, like, let's give it -1/-1s and then damage it. Something where you're using multiple cards to answer this have already been used on a previous threat. So Adam Seacart cannot hit you. And in that way, I say it's not a threat because it will not win you the game by itself. So oftentimes I would have like Beast of Light out with one or more Zhang Zhang's Bodyguard, right? So Zhang Zhang's Bodyguard, barrier, and at the beginning of your turn, gain a gem of any attribute. And then Beast of Light gets +1/+1 for each gem you control. So this is quickly going over 10-10, 11-11, and you have to answer it, or you die. So often they waste, well, I won't say waste, they get rid of this to stay alive, and then they have to worry about Adam Seacart. So in short, what I'm saying is a lot of the cards are overpowered and they just win you the game no matter what. And a lot of the cards are underpowered and should probably not be rares. Because this would be a really solid uncommon, but I don't see it being that, like, to have its rarity that high for in a limited format doesn't make sense to me. Alright, well, hopefully you've listened to me this long, and I'll actually go through which cards I got in the pool. So you saw the rares. So we'll just do commons and uncommons real quick. So we have the Beast of Light. Technique Gym Warrior. I was obviously playing these cards. Zhang Zhang's Bodyguard. The Aura of Hope. White Leaf, which So, White Leaf for 1 white and 2, 8/8. You can banish it to gain 800 life, or you can inheritance it to gain 600. So, the way I read this card when I see it is 3 for an 8/8. Okay, that's okay. Banish the card to gain 800 life, which really, to me, means banish the card, negate an attack. But it doesn't answer the threat that made that attack, so I chose not to run it. That being said, I think nearly every match I came up against was running one of these. Or more. So maybe I'm wrong about not running it. Jewel Illusion. As an additional cost to play this card, banish X gems, and then X J Resonators gain +300/+300 until end of turn, and it's a quick cast for 1 white. It was really solid. When I played it, it always worked out. And this was also something that I would hold in my hand in case something came up where they were going to try and do multiple damage to the Adam C cart. So I would do that. Here's another one of the Technique Gym Warrior and another Jewel Illusion. So, Honorable Thief Guild member. At the beginning of your turn, you gain 100 life for each card in your hand for 1 white and 3, and it's a 900 1000. So, solid attack defense, and then you gain life at the beginning of your turn, which is great. I didn't find a lot of utility in it because every time I played it, someone would kill it. So, at the very least, it dragged out some removal that otherwise couldn't be targeted to other cards like Adam C card. I was running Alexandrite's Crash for 1 white and 1. Quick cast, destroy target entity with total cost of 4 or more. So, Alexandrite's Crash, along with Arrival of the Hero, which was one of the rares that we saw earlier. So this destroys target entity with total cost of 4 or more. Super great. Answers most of the big things that otherwise this deck doesn't have a lot of fatties and can't answer. And then this one, same way. Destroy target rested resonator. Usually when there's a fatty coming at you, I just blast it with that. So consistency, had 2 in the deck. Luckily, I would draw about 1 or both every game, so I just got lucky. I'll leave that down there. A Mother's Love. So, to me, A Mother's Love and White Leaf, very similar. The difference is that I can choose to draw the card. So, I don't know, this was much more useful getting to an answer than the White Leaf was. So I put this in just because of that. And then I had an Isolate, which, again, Arrival of the Hero. The other effect is prevent all damage that would be dealt to resonators you control until end of turn. So prevent all the damage. And then Isolate is 1 white and 1 quick cast, prevent all damage that would be dealt by target J Resonator until end of turn. So this will hopefully delay you until you get an answer, or it can become an answer itself. This, same thing, it can delay you until you find that answer if you're fishing for it. So that's all the white that I had. So I obviously didn't play the red but I will highlight some cards that I thought were good. So here's what I got. Red Leaf. Just banish this card. Deals 500 damage to target J Resonator, 6/6 Resonator itself. Inheritance 1, and it deals 300 damage to target J Resonator. Sprinting Time Horse, which I actually think is really good. When it enters the field, another target Resonator you control gains swiftness until end of turn, and when it's put into the graveyard from the field, you can put 4 strength counters on your J Ruler. So I just think it's solid if you happen to draw it later in the game, that it still has utility, because now you're going to drop it with a heavy fatty and turn dude sideways. So Earthquake Observer, when your opponent plays a chant, it gets +2/+2 and barrier until end of turn. Dread Touch, it's a 4/6 Resonator, and whenever this card attacks a J Resonator, it gets an extra 600 attack until end of turn. Burnt Cooking, 1 red, quick cast, target J Resonator gains +400, -400 until end of turn. If it's a Dragonoid, it gains +400, +400 instead, and put 3 strength counters on your J Ruler. So this can also be used as removal with the +400, -400. So some utility there. Power Strike for 2 red and 2. As an additional cost, you have to remove 5 strength counters from your J Ruler, and it deals 1200 damage to target opponent. So, I mean, 4 damage, 1200 to the face, pretty good. So, from what I saw, Sprinting Time Horse, Power Strike saw a decent amount of people who were running red were running these. And I also liked Eruption. It seems good if you're, just falling behind. 800 damage can answer a lot of things. And then same thing with Firebow Elf. So if you happen to get a little bit of damage, or you're running green-red and you're running elementals, you drop like a Leaf Assassin, reveal some elementals, deal some damage, and a Firebow Elf, it can deal with something larger. So Firebow Elf, 2 red and 3 for an 8/8. When it enters the field, it deals 800 damage to target J Resonator. That's all the red cards that I pulled. So blue, which was the other color that I played, I did not play these cards. So the Time Will, I didn't open the ruler that produces it. So I think the Time Will cards are very difficult to play in Limited unless you get lucky and happen to open or draft the right cards. So you have Witch's Lament, which produces 2 Time Will. Spend it only to pay activation abilities, mobilize costs, or awakening costs of chance for 1 blue and 1. And then you have Magic Soldier of Time, 1 blue and 1 for a 7/7, mobilize for a time mana. Whenever this card attacks or blocks, draw a card, then discard a card. So this card would be great, except for the mobilize. Obviously, didn't play those, they're not in sleeves. So I did play Wings of Ragnarok. I obviously was unable to ever give it the +2/+2 and flying, but I needed more dudes in the deck. I just needed something to throw out there because my deck runs, the build that I was using runs slower than I would like, and I didn't have any huge fatties, so I had to have something to throw in front of everything. Blue Leaf. So Blue Leaf, surprisingly good with delaying the inevitable. In one of the matches, I was facing down a flyer that I couldn't do anything about. It was the fairy, the 2 white 5/5 fairy with flying, and I had no flying dudes on the field. So I was going to die, but then Blue Leaf, bounced the fairy to the hand, and ended up winning that game. So I have Praying Mermaid in there for 2 reasons. It's 2 blue and 1 for an 8/8. And at the beginning of your main phase, the weather is thunderstorm until end of turn. So I have it in there because I, again, need more dudes, but also because I was running the lightning speed crash, and if it happened to be in play when I drew the lightning speed crash, I would be able to do the 1200 damage instead, which did happen and saved me, or gave me an answer to 10/10. And then I was running Time Dilation for the draw 2 cards. I was not able to awaken it. Alright, so onto the colors that I didn't play. So I did get a pretty Whirling Winds in green, Leaf Assassin, The End of Dreams. Again, so this and this happen to be 2 of the answers to the Adam Seacart. Spirit Searching, and Herbivorous Beast, Silomosaurus. So that was all the green I got, basically. So obviously I wasn't playing green. Let's see. In black, we had Kentaro's Partner, which would have been great if I had gotten a Kentaro. Demon in the Moonlight, which again cost this Time Will that I was not able to produce. Dark Bokuto, which I saw a lot, but I don't know, I felt like it didn't really affect me. The one time someone had 2 of them out, I was able to answer something with a 4 cost instead of a 2 cost. I don't know, it didn't seem super fantastic to me, which I guess is why it's a common. So we had Essence of the Void. So when this card enters the field, destroy target damaged resonator. Seems really good if you're running something like black-red, because, or even black-green with the Leaf Assassins and the Elementals, because a little bit of damage, destroy it. We have Every Last Ounce of Strength, which is draw 3 cards, lose 600 life for 3 black. That's a lot of commitment to black, so if you're running that in limited, you're running heavy black. I had a couple of The Night Before the Decisive Battle. 1 black to search your deck for a mystery, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. So it's tutoring for a mystery. Bloodied Winds. I think you can probably look up these cards if you're really interested. Birds of Demise, and then Requiem of the Soul. So Requiem of the Soul seems really solid later in the game. If someone does have an answer to something really large like Ragnarok, the 15/15 dragon, you can just get it back for 1. And then I did open a couple of multicolor cards. So Invitation to Valhalla, not too great in limited, I think, because you're not bringing things back from removed from game zones. So not sure, like in limited, how much utility this has. And then Journey to the Future, which lets you draw 2 cards. Then if your J ruler happens to be here, I'll just move it closer because I can barely read it. If your J ruler, come on, focus camera, happens to be Rhea, you gain 100 life for each card in your hand. So, I mean, drawing 2 cards is good, but chances are you're not going to have the Rhea. So that was it. That was my entire sealed pool there. Obviously played white-blue. Did fairly well. I, again, think that draft would be a better format, and Force of Will seems to be paying attention to what the players are saying and trying to make improvements. It seems like they really care about the game, which I think is great. It's another reason that I'm happy to be investing in Force of Will again. But I think draft is the better format. And I think the power level across cards, it makes limited very awkward. I think they need to focus on their limited formats and try and improve that. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you watch the next one. Thanks.